All right, welcome to So What Do You Know About Business, episode number 24. We're doing a special Friday edition. Had a little scheduling issues yesterday, so we decided to come together today. This is the happy hour podcast, although we're a bit early, where we just talk as women entrepreneurs lessons about life and business. So this is a part, I think this is a sober episode, even though it's Friday. It's kind of sad, but we'll just introduce yourself, tell us what you do and where we can find you. Megan, I'm gonna I see you kind of going back there, but I'm gonna go with you first because you gotta make an announcement too. This is gonna be it, right?
I don't want to make that announcement.
Okay. Well, you can come back anytime, but we'll have you introduce yourself.
All right. I'm Megan from meganflat.com, and I help busy entrepreneurs, especially mom entrepreneurs, find the time and the energy to do what they love in their business, build and grow their business while still being present for their families. And part of that, I'm trying to practice what I preach, and so part of that is I had to make some really hard scheduling decisions because of my family schedule and my kids' schedule, and the Thursday time slot for What Do You Know About Business is just been a really tough time slot. It's right at pickup for my kids, and that's something that's really important to me, is that I be available to pick my kids up from school. So this is going to be my last official episode, but I'm hoping that you guys will keep me on as a sub, or maybe I can come in when it works out for the rest of you, because I absolutely love our chats and can't leave cold turkey. So, but it's hard, and this is a good business lesson for me too. It's hard to make these decisions and decide what's the right move for your business and what's the right move for your family, and you don't always do it right, and you kind of test things out and then come back and try something else.
Well, I think too, I mean, obviously you're going to be very missed, but we've been talking about like what to do next, and we're going to keep it around 4, so you can always come back whenever. There'll be a slot. So no, you can just jump on whenever. All right.
Hey, Megan, I need a sub next week. Can you sub?
I might be able to. You know what? I actually think I can, because it's actually my kids' spring break next week. But Thursday is the day that I decided to hire a sitter so that I could get a little bit of work done. So I might be able to sub for you next week.
It's going to be like she never left.
I know, exactly. I'll just fill in every week.
All right, Andrea, you're next.
I'm Andrea Trevelyan with TakeASmartStep.com. I help small business owners build really strong businesses so that they can spend more time with their family and achieve their dreams. And I am not drinking this week just because nobody else was joining me. So I'm opting out of being the lush for the show.
No,
but funny enough, literally in about 30 minutes, I'll be pouring one because my son and I are doing a movie challenge. So.
Awesome. I want to go do a show from Andrea's house and just drink some good vodka when next time you're available. Because for those of you who don't know, she literally lives across a golf course from me. Like, I could walk to your house, so I could stumble home afterwards. So.
And I just got a new vodka, and the founder of the vodka assigned it for me. So you could help me inaugurate, crack it open.
What?
We need to get him as a sponsor.
What vodka?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Well, you can't mention new booze and not shout out.
The bottle is actually shaped like a test tube. It's literally brand new. It just came out within the last few months. I'll think of it. I'll remember it.
I did not know where you were going to go with that when you started saying and I'm like, what is this? But anyway. All right.
No, the bottle is shaped it doesn't look like any other bottle you've seen.
Okay, cool. All right, Shandra, you're next.
Hi, I'm Shandra Achberger. You can find me at chandrainc.com and Shandra A Inc. at all social media. I am an artist, painting and photography, and mentor for business, art, life, parenting, life. So that's who I am. I'm drinking coffee. I'm still not under 200 pounds, but when I am, watch out, guys, because there will be a big bottle popping of champagne going on.
Awesome. And that's the time that Andrea and I will drive down to your house to like drink there.
No, and then we'll go
Right.
record over at Deep Eddy, which is only 2 miles from her house.
I was just going to say we can do the show from Deep Eddy, which I want to ask them if we can do a show from there, and that would be very cool if we can do a show from the distillery.
You could tell
Or
them
from
they're
one of the
number one
wineries.
fans on the show.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's do it for real. All right.
Yeah. Let's.
Cool. Okay, I'm Erin Smith. I'm with the Starters Club. I help people start and build the businesses that they've always wanted to build. And I'm kombucha. Like I said, we're sober tonight. It's my addiction. So this is the part of the podcast where we go roundtable, talk about lessons learned. You could either be a certain tool you've used that you love, just the way you're running your business, all these different kinds of things of anything you've learned. So Megan, I'll go back to you. What is one of the things you've learned this week?
All right, I have a really, I have a good one that I'm actually I decided to write my blog post about this for next week, so you guys are getting a sneak peek of this. And so it's just kind of a reminder how we all go through, doesn't matter where you are in your business, we all kind of struggle with the same things. And so I'm a business coach, and one of my clients is brand new to business. She's just starting out. In fact, she doesn't even really have her full business idea solidified yet. We're just starting out. But she is just really excited. She's super, ready to go. And so she's been really doing a lot of things like having headshots done and getting her Facebook photo or Facebook cover photo done, except she's kind of putting the cart before the horse a little bit, and I totally get it because you get excited and you want to do those things. And so I was giving her the analogy of a baker or of a bride. You could kind of come at it from either standpoint, and you go into the bakery and you see all the amazing cakes, and what you're looking at is the way they're frosted, but really no bride ever buys a cake without tasting the cake, and because you want to make sure the cake tastes good, not just looks good. And so I was kind of describing that to her. I'm like, it's fun to focus on the frosting, but you really need to perfect your cake recipe first, and you really need to make sure that the cake tastes good and that you've got a solid recipe in place, and then you get to do the fun part of frosting it. And so, there's my big business advice. And about 2 weeks ago, I went to Florida with some business friends, including Jules Taggart, who's been a guest on the show here, and they gave me some great advice for making some shifts in my brand. And so I was all excited. I get on the phone with my designer, and I'm all excited, and I jump in with, okay, so I want to add some gray, and I want to change the font, and I want to do some pictures. And she says, okay, let's stop. Let's do some branding exercises. Let's refocus on your ideal client. And oh my gosh, I was so mad. I was like, total pouty face, because I didn't want to do the cake. I didn't want to make the cake. I wanted to do the frosting. I was ready to just jump in and make changes to my website and make the frosting changes. And I totally laughed at myself, because I'm not kidding you that these conversations happened like 2 days apart from each other, from me having the conversation with my client and then my designer and brand strategist having the conversation with me. And it's just such a good reminder for all of us, kind of, be your own guru, take your own advice, follow your own lead, but just how even it doesn't matter if you're just starting your business or you've been in business forever, the same things just kind of keep coming up. And it was I'll tell you, I got off the phone with my designer and I was really deflated. I was really like, oh, because I wanted to work on the frosting, but she's totally right. We have to work on the cake recipe first. So that's my big business lesson. Work on your cake recipe, then you get to frost the cake.
I like it. I'm guilty of that. You want to go fast. And one thing too, like it's true, like with your client, you can have the best picture in the world, but if you have the coolest frosting in the world, but if there's no cake to build it on, but you kind of focus on the frosting because that's the easier part to focus on too.
Right, exactly.
Well, it's more fun, right? Because that's what's out
more fun,
right? Like, is it nicer to like paint the outside of your like curb appeal, or is it like to clean your house on the inside, right?
Or to get a new water heater. Like you never that's not fun, but that's what you need for your house to function,
Exactly. So it is funny. It's just funny, but this basically is my lesson for the week. It always comes back around as well.
Right.
And the course that I developed a couple of weeks ago actually is Brand Yourself. It's
Right.
it just discusses this and basically where you need to do, like, doing those branding exercises before you jump in, because it's
Or you
so
end up
much
doing
more
it over
fun.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more fun to do it that way, but it's just not it. Yeah, it's going to be for naught, because you're just going to, it's all going to change in a year. Like, it's just good foundation, good cake. Let
Yep.
them eat cake.
Exactly.
Now I'm hungry. All right, yeah, we'll go to Andrea.
Well, it's always funny how we seem to have some sort of theme because the lesson that I learned this week actually has to do with what happens after you forget to make the cake. And this is one of those things that, yes, it circles back around again, but when you make a decision in your business and you're like going through it on a daily basis, you don't always make the best decision, or it goes wrong. And at some point you have to do two things. One, you have to go, okay, what did I do wrong? How can we fix this and go forward? And two, what can I learn? And then just let it go. Like, I have a client who really has issues with letting those go. Even after we make the changes, it'll be like, okay, please stop. That's over. That was 3 years ago. We're done. And so, the lesson that my hair's in my mouth. Oh, sorry. You really just gotta take it as it is and accept that you made a mistake. And you're gonna make a mistake, because I think that's the key, is because you can't predict the future, and when you're in it and make a decision, you're making the best one you can, even if it's wrong at that time. So you just kind of have to take it, accept it, move on, learn, and then you just keep repeating that, and that's what makes you a better business owner. Like, without that whole process, we'd all be born like perfectly knowing all these great things, and we're not. We have to learn it as we go, and you have to keep that in mind. Like, you make a mistake, so what if you had frosted your cake early? Well, you would go back and go, oop, I messed that up. Let's go do this. This is what I learned from that, and yeah, move forward.
Well, totally. And I think even to like carry the cake analogy further, like your ideal cake flavor, your favorite cake flavor can also change.
Oh, all
so
the
maybe you love chocolate cake, and then you have chocolate cake for a while, and now you're like, you know what would be better for me? Or I want to have a lemon chiffon cake now, or I want to shift my, like, there's that too. That things change, and that you don't, just because you make a decision doesn't mean that's the decision that you go with forever.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
a decision.
I think that's really hard for people to understand that part. Like, it's not so it's really hard for at least for me and a lot of people I know, especially in business and in life and in parenting, to make the decision. Like, a lot of times people don't have decision making tools, right? Like, it's like a muscle. You have to build that muscle, and actually just making the decision, and then knowing that it's not forever. It's going to, these huge decisions that we make that definitely affect other people's lives, our children, our spouses, our businesses, that like affect everyone's lives around us. And there's such huge choices and decisions that we think that no matter what we do, it has to be this all the way. And we've talked about this many times before, like having the flexibility throughout, that it's going to change, it's going to shift, and like that. We want different cakes, or the guest list might change. We might have a lot more guests coming in, so everything needs to change around that, adapt and adjust and move on. And nothing is forever, so don't be afraid to just jump in, make that decision, but like also don't get so deflated when somebody else tells you what you already know if you're experienced in business, right? Like, because you told somebody else, and then somebody told you, Megan, right? Like, and it's just like, we all know what we give advice in coaching or in consulting, and then it's like turned around on us, and we're like, ooh, dang it.
Yeah, the cobbler's children has no shoes, right? Like,
well, and so when I was an event planner, which actually makes this entire wedding cake conversation even funnier to me, we used to joke that every wedding planner attracted her own issue. And I think that's true in every business. You attract kind of whatever you need to be teaching and, really kind of focusing on. And it was true every time. There was a group of us that would meet for lunch about once a month and kind of, run through our current events and just kind of catch up. And it was hilarious how each one attracted the same problem every time. And I think that's just kind of the universe's way of saying, here, you need to learn this lesson, so I'm going to keep shoving it in your face.
Well, and I know with this whole conversation about decisions and beating, like holding a grudge, I beat myself, I will tell you, I'm like the ultimate beat myself up over decisions, like, oh, why did I do that? I should have done that. And so the lesson, it was a couple of weeks ago, but as you know, I'm doing my meditations every single day, and one of them was for the Oprah success, and it was like, you have to accept success, you have to accept the decisions that you made in the past, because that is what leads you to where you are. So it will never be, like we're talking about, it'll never be perfect. You're going to make a decision that might not be right or might be wrong, and like for the first time in, I don't even know how long it's been now, almost 5 years, I forgave myself for marrying my ex-husband. Like, that was a decision I hated myself for, and I'm like, yeah, and it was like, I should have seen the signs, Erin, you should have seen the signs, you should have done this, you should have done this, and it was always those things, but it's like, you're going to make, whether it's business or life, whatever, you're going to make decisions, they might not be right, and that's okay, but like Andrea was saying, just don't go marry your ex-husband again, or you know what I mean, or don't make this, and just learn from them and accept that, because you're never going to get past anything if you don't accept it. And I think it's hard for people to do. I know it's really hard for me to do.
It's one of my favorite mantras, quotes, business things too, is that clarity comes through action. And I think for a lot of business owners and a lot of entrepreneurs, we also have a thread of perfectionism in us. So it's like, we don't want to put something out until it's perfect, but that is completely unrealistic. You can't do that. You have to put it out, into the world. You have to take action on something. You can't think your way into the right answer. You have to take action. So you have to take action. And that's kind of, the difference, a little contradictory to what I was saying about the frosting. But, I mean, you do have to just kind of put your ideas out there, test them,
Mm-hmm.
and then pivot. And just, again, make the cake recipe, taste it, decide more lemon.
Information you don't have it all, because the future is unpredictable, and that's where the action has to come in, because you can make the decision, but if you don't go execute it and put things into motion, you won't find out the unknowns that you didn't know. Like, you have to go discover.
All right, very true. All right, Shandra, we got a lesson in courses today, huh?
Yeah, I'm just looking up because, of course, like I'm on the same boat as everybody today, because we are universally connected somehow and by some mysterious the universe, I guess. And because I did this branding course, I have been looking through, kind of fine tooth combing through all the area where I have been over the past year, 2 years, and I looked at all the things I've commented on, which you can do through Discuss, and just kind of look at your Discuss history, and one of the things that totally popped up for me was this article, and it's like, the title is "Why Can't I Finish?" and it says, and there's like 10 things that are pointed out, and it comes up again and again. Perfectionism can cause you to unconsciously lower your standards in other areas. If you believe nothing can ever really be good enough to finish, you're going to, not finish it, right? Because you don't believe that it's perfect enough. And it gives you this game plan. I'll post this article in, even though it's from, I think, like 2 years ago. It's completely relevant, at least it is to me, and it's good to go back and look at stuff that you have looked at before, because you do forget. I mean, we're just human. So like, even though we've learned this lesson time and again, like the perfectionist thing is never going away. I spent an entire year truly dedicated to trying to push past my perfectionism and finishing things, and I had a great, I think that was 2013, and it was a great year. But when 2014 came around, it wasn't like, all right, you're over that hump, on to the next thing, right? It's always going to come back. And so there's the perfectionist, there's the finishing, and just like knowing, just going over notebooks. And it seems like we come back to these things about once a quarter. We end up coming back to certain conversations, and it's just like, look into your files, whether you do hard copy or not. Look at those notebooks every once in a while. Look at what you were into a year ago or 2 years ago. You'd be surprised how it can relate to what you're doing right now, and just be like, just a little reminder. And it's not going into everything and diving deep all the time. Sometimes you can just kind of skim through what you were doing and realize that thought process and see if it's still on track with your values and everything that you have in alignment in your life right now. And some of it won't be, but you'd be surprised, a lot of it will be. So I'll post this article in the group.
So now the question is, did you finish your course?
I did, and you know what? I did. I've been finished with my course for a couple of weeks now, and it's still imposter syndrome bull BS that I have not done anything to properly launch, which is my hang up. And it's not, I don't know what it is. I don't know what, I mean, I guess
fear.
Psychological. Yeah, it is fear, but it's not the typical fear, like, because I really don't care what other people. It's fear that I'm going to disappoint myself. I guess. I mean, I used to call it fear of success, because I like, I feel like I won't be prepared for all this stuff, and I came to the conclusion last year. I was like, fear of success is the same as fear of failure, because it's like this double, it's just like 2 steps back. You're just afraid that if you're successful, you cannot manage that success, and there's all these fears. But yeah, I need to just promote it and launch and just get it out there. But I haven't done it. Maybe I should just do it, huh?
Well, mine is always the fear of disappointing others, because I take these courses,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, I say this, like, I've taken like courses, or like I go to a Brenda Bouchard event, and it's like blown away. But then, so I have that pressure on myself, like, I got to blow these people away, like I'm getting, But the thing is, I've taken just as many horrific courses, and not that I want mine at a same level of horrific, but you're just kind of like, move on. It's not like, I guess my point of this is, like, I know I keep comparing myself to the great, and that's where I want to go, and that's what I want to be. But even if I fall a little bit short of that, I'm still better than like 75% of the people who put content out there. But I mean, it's still like, it's scary. It's scary. I want to, like, not only make people happy, I want to blow their minds with what I give them. And it's like, God, am I good enough to be at that level yet? I don't know. And so you put that ridiculous pressure on yourself, because it's not even I want to be good. It's like, I want to just be incredible, and so it just gets silly because you stop, and
it's not. They will never be perfect, but it is also like, I don't have that fear of like other people, but I do have, it's just anything I've tried, I've jumped into. Like, first time I went surfing, I stood up on a surfboard the first time. My brother was just like, what what the, like they're like just constant threads. So like I'm used to just this, like, oh, okay, I just win. And then like what happens when you don't, and what happened, and also there's just a ton out there, and it's realizing I'm in this world of knowing what marketers are doing and knowing what everybody else is doing, but like so many people are not. And I could help. People would want things in my voice, but I see everybody just kind of marketing to the marketer, this incestuous kind of like circles of like everyone just trying to make money off of the same people. And I definitely do not want to do that and want to get into a different audience, but we'll see.
Okay, so you and I are so much alike. So when Sean and I met, like we're both very obsessed with being tall, and nobody understands this obsession except for her and I. Like everybody's like, "What? You're already 5'8". Like, what's your like? It's not tall enough." But so it's so funny you mentioned.
I'm 5'10".
I know you're taller than me. It's okay. I just can't be the shortest in the room. So
don't worry, I got that covered.
But I have this fear, and you guys are gonna laugh at me, but this is totally. So I started CrossFit, okay, and I went to the 2-week on-ramp, and I have like talked myself out of going to CrossFit ever since, because remember how I said I wasn't winning? Like I was getting my butt kicked by the other girls in there, and it was driving me nuts, and I'm like, I'm not great at this right now, and so it's driving me nuts, and I'm like, I gotta go back, but I'm like, well, Erin, just work out at home, you'll save yourself the time of driving over there and just do a workout. But like I'm so competitive that I'm here like doing the push-ups at home and doing everything at home, so when I show up there I can win. And it's so stupid, and I keep like, it's so funny you say that, because it's like I missed my alarm clock, or I meant to go at lunch and a bunny showed up in the yard and I had to take care of it. I mean, it's just like all these excuses. And it comes down to I'm not winning. Like, it's so stupid, but I'm the same exact way. If I don't like shine that first day, I can't be in front of people. It's so weird.
Preach.
So yeah, I haven't been to CrossFit. It's a lesson learned. So my lesson learned is kind of similar. It's similar to Megan's like reason of cutting back on time, and I actually talked about this in my newsletter today. And I'm approaching my first year in business, and so really reflecting on lessons learned. And I joke about my list of 150 things I'm getting through, which I'm knocking them out. But just all these things I added on, and just really, okay, what do I need to change in my business? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And the lesson this week was just let it be easy, and not from a perspective of this is easy, because I will stick to my guns that this is not easy, it's hard, but not making it harder than it needs to be, I think, is really the lesson, and I was, oh my gosh, like for my opt-in, this is one of the examples I gave. When I first started, I wanted this elaborate opt-in. So I had this, like, it was like a 10-page ebook, which is not that elaborate, but it was a lot of work to get that up. So of course I procrastinated on putting that up because it took so long. And then it was 3-part training videos and webinars, and I was killing myself, like, because those were my big opt-in list builder. So it was like I was doing videos, I swear to God, it just was exhausting. And so I've been trying different things, literally just put top 10 list of, I have a couple different ones depending on the opt-in, but top 10 list. Took me 20 minutes to create, had a designer pretty them up for me. I'm paying a third of the cost to get the click, like for a Facebook ad, a third. So I've reduced my cost by over 60% of just getting the clicks, and I'm converting double those clicks. So it's like, I was making this so difficult. Like, it's just like you want to impress, you want to get out there, you want to be blah, blah, blah. And so, and just like I was telling you guys about that course with the chiropractors, it's like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do this. And I'm like, screw it. This isn't fitting to what they need. Why am I killing myself? Like, let it be a lot easier than it is. And I've got students going through, they're doing great, and now I'm going to evergreen it. It's like, it's not easy, but I was killing myself. Like, I was making it so difficult. So I know that's it's just been a huge lesson time and time again through this whole year.
I have a question, and it might not be long enough yet for you to know the answer, but have you seen a difference in the quality of the leads on the quick punch sheet versus the bigger item?
That's going to be TBD. So I'm almost at my point where I'll start, because what I'm going to do now is instead of running webinars off cold, or I want people in to know me. So I'm doing like a whole nurture sequence of, so they get to know me. Because I made I'll tell you this too, one of the biggest mistakes I made was I'd run a webinar. So I'd get people from Facebook, run a webinar, and then if they didn't, and double opt-in, I was not trying to be shady at all. I was doing everything right. But I wasn't branding my emails very well. So I was trying to Brendan Bouchard it, because I do everything like Brendan Bouchard, but I'm not Brendan Bouchard. Nobody knows my name, so I can't do that. So what was happening was I wasn't branding very well. So these cold leads would miss my webinar, let's say. They wouldn't come on, and then they'd get an email from me and be like, who the hell is this? And mark me as spam. And I'm like, I'm not spam. I made you. I'm not spam. It was killing. It was like breaking my heart more than anything. I'm like, but I'm not spam. I'm really a good person. But it was all my branding and all of I was just making mistakes, and it was just cold to cold to cold to cold versus, you know what, just opt in. You're going to see, I know what I'm talking about from reading the first 3 things that you get off this list. They're going to help you, let alone, and then, so we'll see. I have a much better feeling about things because I feel like it's a nurture. I was doing things so complicated, working too hard for I was converting, but I know I can do a lot better, so.
Yeah, that's what we are very similar. My husband will say, he'll just be like, don't stop. Do not make it complicated, and we just, we do that. We build it up. Want the fancy cake.
Exactly. I want the 10-tier mother of all cakes when freaking little 8-inch round would be just fine. People would enjoy it just as much. But yeah, I'm the same way.
I think the other thing too, because I feel like we get so into this, which is absolutely good, we get into this place where we want to deliver so much value to our clients, and we want to that whole idea of oh my gosh, we want them to feel like, oh, if she's giving away this for free, imagine what I'll get if I pay her. But then the flip side of that is I think that we then, if our opt-in or this kind of lead-in material is so dense that people can't either get through it or they can't get results from it, then they feel like they failed. So then they don't want to. It's not they don't even. It's not you. They don't put it on you. They put it on them. Oh, I can't. I didn't even get through her opt-in. How am I going to get through what she's teaching me? So. Oh, sorry. I'm going to mute myself.
Oh my gosh, what's going on in there?
That was awesome.
The hyenas have come into the dingoes. The dingoes ate my baby.
Oh no, that's just the mailman. The dogs are 8 and 10 years old, and the mailman comes 6 days a week. You'd think that they know, except someone pointed out to me, and Erin, you probably know this because you're such a dog person. It's that they're successful every day, right? The mailman comes, they bark, and the mailman leaves. So it's reinforcing. It's reinforcing. They're like, we scared the mailman off again, So every day that happens.
Oh, you guys, I hope on one episode my dogs start howling. It sounds like a freaking wolf pack in my house. It's awesome. So don't feel bad about the barking. I'm just saying, it's so embarrassing.
But oh my gosh. But anyway, back to what I was saying about that providing value. Sometimes the best value you can provide is a really quick win for your client. Something that's really easy for them to digest and really easy for them to implement, because then they're gonna be excited and they're gonna be like, I did it. Okay, what can I do next with her? And that's hard because it's that balancing the extreme value over actionability.
No, and you're right. We're so into this, gotta overproduce and overvalue and over this. And you're right. Half the time we're overwhelming them with all our over stuff, and we're not going to get anywhere. So.
And it's just a point, Megan's. It's just it's about them, right? Like sometimes it's easy to, even though we're trying to provide all this value, like we have to take ourselves out of our own shoes and put ourselves in their shoes and be like, because it's not about, right? Like it's like we think we're, like you said, providing all this value and doing all this stuff, but it is about the client in the end, or whoever you're trying to reach and get to do something outside of you. And one of the biggest things as a mentor, as a parent, or as a good educator, that you have to, your goal is to make yourself obsolete. Like that is your ultimate goal. And if you have to come to terms with that, and then whatever you're making, it becomes part of that, and that makes people feel successful when they can do things on their own, and then you have to build on top of your own brand and build other things out. But I think this is like so fundamentally important throughout anything that we do, you know.
Speak for yourself. My kids are going to live with me till they're 50. Just kidding.
And their spouses and their dogs.
Exactly. I want each of us to have 6 dogs, so we're all going to go for like the wolf pack. No, I'm very much that way, but I think that's hard too as a business to remind yourself that you want to eventually phase your goal is to phase yourself out, but it's a hard thing to do.
It is.
Remember. I'm bad about it.
I'm sorry. I was unmuted. I'm sorry. It totally is a hard thing to remember, but it's also hard to, like, it's just, you have to take ego out of it, right? Which is a huge thing in life in general, is just like taking yourself out of it. But people remember you as a person because you've helped them more. So.
No, it's true. It's true. All right, well, we're done a little early tonight. You can always visit us over in our Facebook group, where you can get the fabulous deodorant recipe from last week over at bit.ly/know, K-N-O-W, business. Also, feel free to go find us out on iTunes and leave a rating and review. We'd love you for it. And although this is goodbye to Megan, I don't think it's going to be goodbye. I think we'll see you next week. So it's okay. No tears yet. But as always, thank you so much for listening. You guys, thank you so much for joining. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. And we'll see you back next Thursday at 5 o'clock Central. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy Friday.